future of AI, decentralization and security.
Well, you realized I already, at the end of my previous panel, I also already was in this one when I was suddenly asking the AI question. Yeah, but of course it goes hand in hand, and it's really a pleasure having you here. And we had a prep call yesterday, and you both are really very engaged in this topic. So I'm sure this will be this round will be applause too. Okay, Fabio, let's go into the future of AI. We already heard quite a bit about it and things that are in the pipeline. So let's try to focus on a few issues. So like decentralization and security, of course, because this will be, I think, key issues for the artificial intelligence in the future. Fabio, decentralization. We know it from the blockchain technology. Everybody was talking about decentralized systems in blockchain systems. How can it can be adapted into the AI world?
So essentially at the moment, from an AI perspective, obviously everyone knows about Claude and ChatGPT, and those are mainly centralized, where it's a black box, and ultimately we don't know entirely what's behind. So even the way it's trained, and there are obviously a lot of facts which ultimately we don't know about. So the aspect of decentralized is about getting different agents, and from a decentralized perspective, we can actually validate the actual response from the AI model. Ultimately, when you have one AI model, you are very much restricted to the response of that particular model itself. Whilst using a decentralized fashion, for example, using Chainlink, which is one of the famous different chains, they're moving to a point where the different smart contracts can actually engage with multiple different models. And that will be able to get, in very simple mathematical terms, an average response. So that will help you gauge whether one model is completely off compared to the other. Also, another aspect about that is that you're also retaining privacy. So just because you're actually using these decentralized models, you don't need to expose your data. So your data remains within the warehouse, your own data warehouse, but the actual model is decentralized fashion, which obviously, as you can appreciate, improves the whole privacy and security.
So what will be the benefits if you're taking this path?
So ultimately, obviously, from a benefits perspective, at the moment, we had to trust, obviously we trust ChatGPT, as in I use it personally sometimes, then I'm going on a holiday, what are the top 10 tips to go to Barcelona? But ultimately, when you're using ChatGPT, I'm relying on their information. As in, is this correct? Is that, so one, it's obviously the correction, it's the actual correctness of the actual information being given. But also, even from a security perspective, where you are ultimately relying on ChatGPT being the owner of that particular model. When from a decentralized perspective, you can have so many different models, and you can obviously find a response which is actually sort of more adaptable to you, and at the same time, you're also you're actually sort of finding out which response makes most sense.
Can I add something?
Yes, of course.
So like nowadays with Google search, you have these promoted ads, and we're getting very comfortable with trusting ChatGPT as it's one of our employees or a trusted source. And as time goes on, these promoted searches or promoted content will make it into these AI models and these AI systems. So then we have to be very careful when trusting these systems where we're actually getting the information that is relevant to us and that we want versus it being promoted content, which will be a problem because we need to trust the data and that it's not actually paid for. Like we want actual data.
Well, that's a problem you currently have with the existing search engines that are monetizing too strongly by pushing advertising too much forward. And but You think this problem can be avoided in AI-backed systems?
As Fabio said, if you're using multiple models and you either have an aggregator that like looks at all the responses and then summarizes the responses into one response, and using decentralized systems which have not been biased by money, then yeah, we could probably avoid that.
But you will have to make money with these portals too.
Yeah, but you can, I mean, they're already charging us money for running the software. So yeah, like at least Google as it is doesn't charge us any money to use Google, whereas these AI models are charging us to get the pro features of them. So I would hope that the pro features would not be biased for who paid the most to get their content in there.
Well, I'm skeptic because I used to be in the television industry, and there pay TV was considered always to be ad-free, and if you now go to pay TV channels, they are flooded with advertising. So it will be interesting if we find ways to avoid that, to make it, to keep it user-friendly.
Agree.
Yeah. AI is, well, we know it will have impact on everything. So, but you mentioned specifically that you see a lot of impact on the workforce. As a supporting tool, as we were talking in our previous panel, or will it have a more active and replacing role? And a lot of people are afraid of that.
Look, ultimately, yes. As in, until yesterday, I used to think that the replacement is going to be for the workforce or for the juniors. So ultimately, as you know well enough, you can actually just pull up ChatGPT, as in add a prompt and say, DALL-E, hey, please provide this image. So certain roles are definitely going to be changed. However, I see it more as the Industrial Revolution 2.0, where in the past, where certain jobs were lost, other new jobs were created. And I think that's more as to how AI will function in the future. Having said that, yesterday, and this is no news, I was talking to someone where certain results from your blood results can now be interpreted by ChatGPT. Obviously, how reliable and whatnot, that is to be discussed. But I also believe that is going to aid certain professionals of a certain level, so tertiary education and maybe further up, and yeah, it will make their life easier, and maybe one day it might even replace even those people. But that is one thing which I'm still a bit skeptical. I still think that you need the human intervention, where so the AI will actually make the call, but then the actual professional will give the final outcome. So say, listen, the diagnosis is this, so that's what the AI will come up, where through the scans of x-rays and this kind of thing, yes, this is the particular diagnosis. However, you would still need a professional, a human input to say, yes, this is the case.
Well, so it's really understanding it as a mere service tool, while the interesting stuff is left to us.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see it as the law firm with the paralegals. Like the AI is like your paralegals doing all your research, but then you need the lawyer to actually check that the research is correct and aggregate the content. The AI will then aggregate the content, summarize it for you, and then you could just go through it, modify it, and it will save a lot of time. Like for myself, like I use AI, I use Perplexity myself, not ChatGPT, and I find that it helps me in my research. Like I'm much quicker. I've completely replaced Google with Perplexity, and like my research is much faster. And when I'm fact-checking people, I could ask the AI model, gives me the data, and then once you're at our level, you can understand if it's giving you correct information or if it's completely off. And they do learn, like once you tell it like this is the wrong information, it will go back, apologize, and get you the right information without getting its feelings hurt, like most employees. So yeah,
But you have to tell them first they are wrong, so that's a big responsibility you have.
Yeah.
Another real big issue, of course, is security, and I think that this will be this can be a very long discussion, because I have the feeling that people are not really aware of responsibility. They go very easy into traps and just go for the convenience and not realizing that there is some payment involved that is not always in the end, not very convenient, but they take the risk. Yeah, how I'm sure AI can be used as a security tool. I know it when we were discussing in blockchain the manufacturing of fake pictures and fake news pictures, that creating a blockchain stamp on every photo from every device, you could be a very reliable thing to prove the correctness of an image. In other fields, I don't think it is that easy. Still, it would be a very overly complex issue to introduce such a tool, I think. But I think in other fields, it's even more complex. And is there AI capable of providing solutions to make the net or the communication or everything in the net more secure?
Yeah, so AI models are being used, first of all, to attack people. Like, it's very easy to go on ChatGPT, Claude, and ask it for some code to, for a rat or like remote access Trojan or like any malicious code that you want. This AI model will generate for you. And malicious people are using AI to attack us. So we cannot keep up with the machines. So we need AI to protect us. So nowadays there are systems where you're sending all your logs to AI models, and they're looking into, like, at least alerting you that something malicious is happening. For your question regarding pictures, we need like cryptographic proof that if you're having a meeting with someone, that you need to know that this person is actually the person you're talking to, if you're having an online meeting, because with deepfakes, this is very possible today. So there could be ZK ZK circuits which can identify this. We need to build cryptographic proofs that maybe you plug in your wallet, your crypto wallet, to identify you as like your certificate, like your SSL certificate, that it is actually you. We need to do like a lot of work in this
well, or
in
you
this area.
just have a list of the different segments that were taken from other sources to create this picture, and then you automatically would see that this is a manufactured deepfake.
There are artifacts in the images which you can tell that it's a fake. However, you need to analyze the picture. If you're seeing something on Google Meet or Zoom, you might not have the technology there. So I see this in the future as you have your antivirus today installed on your computer. You might have like this AI software, like looking at all the video streams, looking at all the data on your machine, and trying to understand if this is a fake or not. This is where we have to get to. We need these AI solutions to protect us.
But I think we were talked about decentralization before. I think also in this aspect, the decentralized approach could be a very beneficial, or am I wrong?
Ultimately, 100%. So even from a compliance perspective, nowadays, as in different companies are actually connecting their data warehouses to the actual blockchain to actually verify that they are compliant without exposing certain data. So yes, there are definitely many different use cases and I firmly believe that blockchain and AI are now a yin and a yang, where before they were seen as two different segments. Now, definitely the future is that, having blockchain and AI to actually serve this purpose which you're mentioning, which is actually to actually verify and validate that X is true, rather than just because the model says so.
When we use a decentralized approach, doesn't this give us up a little bit of our control? Because we don't know where the decentralized element is coming from.
Look, ultimately, yes, there's always going to be an element of trust. However, I believe it's also like I'm a bit of a security conscious person, so even when using ChatGPT, the certain information I share with it is very, very basic. But to answer your question, yes, as in from a blockchain perspective, obviously we have to always rely and trust and improve that the cryptographic methods that we're using to this very day are obviously up to standard, up to industry standard, especially with the whole quantum computing coming in, et cetera, et cetera. However, going back to even what Zach mentioned before, is with ZK technology, you also have that situation where you're proving that a situation is this, but it also allows you to process that something is actually true without sharing the data of the customer itself. So there is also that aspect which definitely helps and puts obviously one's mind at rest in terms of our privacy. But yes, there will always be an exchange on the different nodes that ultimately, that is ultimately how the blockchain works. So
yeah,
yes.
but if you're using a decentralized blockchain, the consensus layer should protect against any malicious actor. So I would trust a decentralized blockchain more than Google, because at least there are other nodes verifying that whatever the block proposer is proposing is mathematically correct.
Again, this is not a situation of choosing between the two evils. As Zach rightly so mentioned, you would prefer one centralized model or one centralized database. We just have to look at the general blockchain technology itself, or one that is decentralized, and also the technology uses a concept which is called sharding, where essentially your data is broken down on multiple nodes, which ultimately, even if there had to be a breach, it's much, much harder to put the data back. But obviously, a lot of work is being done by many, many developers around the world to ensure that the cryptographic is obviously up to standard.
Well, the problem is that that there also is this other group that is sitting in secret chambers and trying to do exactly the opposite. So it's always open race, I think, and sometimes the security side is on the winning end, and then again suddenly you find the next little butthole where causing a trouble. I don't think we are able to avoid that. So what can be, or are there ways to make to create resilience?
It depends. Like on proof of stake networks, you could break the resilience by buying a lot of tokens, but then that would defeat the purpose, because then your tokens would be worthless. On like a proof of work like Bitcoin, it would be much harder to break the resistance, because for you to obtain the mining power needed to take over the network is pretty much impossible. It's very decentralized. However, yes, it's possible, and quantum computers may pose a threat. Like there's a lot of crypto wallets which are not quantum resistant yet.
Yeah, okay.
So we're working on technologies to mitigate this problem. We're already seeing quantum resistant technologies popping up in firewalls, like the VPNs have post-quantum security. So I believe that the threat is imminent and near, and there are some quantum computers operating already. However, coding in quantum is very hard, and there's very limited. The attack vector is too small, because like we don't know how to use it yet. But in the near future, it would be a significant threat that unless we protect ourselves against it, it's a game changer.
If I may add, also from a quantum computing perspective, a lot of big banks are already investing very heavily. They've got dedicated teams on quantum computing to actually figure out how the different infrastructure is going to sustain such an attack. So, and that is my concern, that a lot of organizations are not actually thinking about this. And this is something, even though quantum computing, as Zach mentioned, is a bit of an enigma, it's something that we definitely need to prepare ourselves, because it's definitely...
It's coming, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, there are always leaks. The problem is that the new generations of technology, they're becoming so powerful that a small leak can create a huge impact. We already see it when we saw when the crypto wallets were stolen and things like that. So the damage done becomes bigger and bigger with each new generation of. So this will be interesting how it will be coming out, will end all. But my last, of course, panels are always too short. My last thing on you, what is the future of AI for you?
So for me, the future of AI is ultimately I would say, two things. And I think this is one of those questions I have and I can spend 2 hours talking about it. But to keep it really short, it's simplicity, making everyone's life much, much simpler and aiding us in many, many different sectors. But also, I would say, the integration of other existing technologies. It's like how blockchain and AI will become a yin and a yang, which is already happening, but...
So very short, Isaac?
It's going to be a very different world in the next 10 years. We're going to see like robotics, like in every household, like self-driving cars. This is all possible because of AI. It's an exciting world to be in. Like some jobs will unfortunately be replaced, but there will be new jobs, new skilled jobs to replace those unfortunate jobs that get lost. It's the cycle of innovation and progress, unfortunately. But
so we are in exciting times, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to what's coming, and for good and for bad. In the end, I think Oscar Wilde said, everything will end fine. If it is not fine, it's not the end yet. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.